Okay. What's going on, College Hoopsheads? This is another edition of the One and Done podcast with Stephen Baggall and John Simpson. We are here with friend of the pod. As you guys remember, John and I had the opportunity to interview Trey Townsend from Oakland University earlier this year. Since then, Trey not only had a great year, he won Horizon Player of the Year, he won a March Madness game. Obviously, he was on that Oakland team that upset Kentucky. And now he's testing the NBA draft waters and also just announced his transfer to University of Arizona. So first of all, Trey, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here and, kind of relive the moments from this year. I'm excited.
Of course. John, how are you doing today?
Doing great, man. I'm just down here in Cancun with the Sixers, trying to get some interviews in. I'm talking. It's good to be talking to Trey.
Of course. So, Trey, let's briefly talk about, in our last interview when you came on, we basically asked you about the transfer portal, why you were so dedicated to the Oakland basketball program and Coach Campy. Obviously, your legacy there, your dad played for Coach Campy as well. I suppose walk me through, obviously, the Horizon League is a one-bid league, so you had to win the conference tournaments to get into the tournaments. Not only do you do that, but then you beat Kentucky, which ultimately leads to John Calipari, looking for greener pastures and going to University of Arkansas. So walk me through, just the madness of March from your perspective in terms of when the conference tournament starts all the way through, beating Kentucky in the first round.
Yeah, like you said, the Horizon League is a one bid league, so the whole month of March for any team in that conference is, it's more important than anything else during the regular season. Like you'd said, my dream was to play at Oakland and, carry the legacy. Both my parents played here and do all this stuff. I wanted to win championships, and to sit here now and say that we did, that and then some, it's such a special thing. But, when tournament time started for us, our league was so competitive this year, one through nine, that even though if you finished as the one seed, you'd get a bye in a home game, which in this conference helps so much. But it's still anybody can beat anybody. That's the beauty of March, and we felt that when we played Kentucky. But going in, we played Fort Wayne our first round, quarterfinal game at home, and the last time we played them at home, they beat us by like 30 points. I think it was our first home conference game, so we knew they were capable of beating us down in our crib. So we just wanted to really focus on how we beat them at their place and survive in advance. And we played one of our better games of the season that day, and then we went and played Cleveland State in the semifinal, who my freshman year actually beat us in the championship game of the Horizon League tournament and stopped us from going to March Madness. So beating them there was, it was a full circle moment again. And then the championship against Milwaukee, we had beaten them twice in the regular season, and it's hard to beat a team two times in a row, let alone three times. So, it's a championship game too. So everyone's going to leave everything they had out there. And our fan base traveled really well out to Indianapolis. That's where our semi and final games are at. So having them behind us to the final whistle was a huge thing. And, we ultimately won that game and got to March Madness. And that moment was, such a special feeling. Honestly, winning that game against Milwaukee just honestly felt more special for some reason to me than beating Kentucky, because it was our first time winning a Horizon League championship. This season, it was the first time Oakland won an outright regular season championship in the Horizon League, and then a tournament and championship in the Horizon League. And to that, my senior year with guys like Blake Lampman and Chris Conway, who have been with me this whole journey, it was such a special thing. And then obviously, like you said, we went on and carried that momentum and that mindset and beat Kentucky. And I'm sure we'll talk about that if you have some specific questions about that. But that was a special game in itself, and so much has stemmed from that moment. After the whistles or the game was over, and I got no complaints about it.
Okay.
That's awesome, man. And first, I want to thank you, man, for making us look smart. Having you on early in the year,
Yeah.
doing the film breakdown, doing the interview, and then we could kind of get our told you so's in. You're the Horizon Player of the Year, outright conference champion, NCAA tournament darling, all that good stuff. It was amazing, and it meant a lot, talking to you earlier in the year and getting to see that kind of play out in front of us. And I can only imagine it was like a dream come true for you.
Yeah.
You know, how much did that play into kind of almost having that closure or having that experience into saying like, all right, you know, now I'm gonna check out the draft process. Now I'm gonna check out the portal and kind of see what's out there for me.
Yeah, there's a list of goals that I had that I wanted to check off when I was at Oakland, and coming into my senior year, I honestly hadn't checked off a whole lot of them. But once this year is over, like I said at the beginning of this, I checked off all of them and then some. There's awards that I won individually that I didn't even think that I would be, qualified for, and then obviously winning a game of March Madness and genuinely feeling like we were better than the team that made it to the Final Four from our region. It was such a special year, and it just meant so much to check all those things off in my senior year because I had my senior day this year knowing it would be my last year at Oakland. And camp knew that, and pretty much the whole staff and group knew that this would be our last year together. And just to do everything we did, it made it was still hard leaving. Like, Oakland's my home, and it will always be my home. But feeling like I left that legacy here and won a championship, which I always said I wanted to do, it made it a little bit easier to go.
Okay, so that's awesome, and obviously John and I were rooting for you the whole way. We're like, "Come on, Trey, you got this!" And so it was awesome to see, not only as fans of your game, but being able to interview you earlier in the year. I think we interviewed you, if I remember correctly, right after the Xavier win,
Okay.
and that's when we were like, "Okay, well, look, you just beat a Big East team. Like, you guys can, prove the doubters wrong." And you,
Exactly.
as you said, you accomplished that and more. So now you are going to be playing at the University of Arizona. Your final two was Arizona and Ohio State. And I believe there was a point where you were supposed to visit with both Michigan and Michigan State during your recruitments to those schools. And you end up canceling at least the Michigan visit. Did you visit Michigan State as well? Or did you cancel that as
No,
well?
but the only two schools I visited were officially Ohio State and Arizona, and then I went on an unofficial to Michigan before I even went to Arizona for like just a couple hours, but it wasn't a real visit. So really, my only two officials were Arizona and Ohio State.
So, at what point did you know Arizona was a school for you, given, you had those officials lined up and then you end up canceling them? And how did Ohio State factor into everything in that decision?
Yeah, I will say, like, Twitter and all the social media is kind of like explain like kind of paint their own story about things that happened. The only visit that I really canceled was I was supposed to go to Louisville. So the week that I went to Ohio State and Arizona, I was at Arizona from Tuesday to Wednesday that week, and then Ohio State Thursday to Friday. And I was supposed to go to Louisville Saturday to Sunday. And then I canceled Louisville. But Michigan and Michigan State, I didn't cancel myself. Michigan just had a lot of people commit. So Dusty called or texted me and, said they really didn't have any room left. And then Michigan State had Frankie Fiddler commit and then told me they didn't need me to come on a visit anymore. So I still wanted to go and visit those schools. Obviously, they're in-state schools and, go on the visit, like a official visit to Michigan and see Michigan State and things like that. Obviously, I've had a relationship with Izzo because we've played him 4 years in a row here at Oakland, and he's best friends with Camp. So just to show him respect and my interest, I still wanted to go out there. But with Arizona and Ohio State, they're just two great visits, great staffs, just great people, and that's the biggest thing for me was who do I want to surround myself with for I only have 1 year left of school. That's the biggest thing is the fit at the program, and if I generally think the staff sees me having a big impact in wherever I'm going. And Ohio State and Arizona both, fit those molds. With Arizona, I went in the transfer portal a day before the dead period started, so I was able to talk on the phone to a bunch of coaches, but I wasn't able to go on any visits for a week, and or they weren't able to come see me for a week. As soon as that dead period was over, the following Friday, Arizona flew out here and came to my house and met with my parents and I. And ever since, like from that moment, we just had been building a great relationship, and I felt their vision for me based off how they've had guys in the past and just how much they were actually recruiting me. It really stuck with me. My gut was telling me, that was a spot for me, and it was a hard decision. It was hard telling Ohio State that I was going to Arizona because they're great people over there too. But it just felt the most right going to Arizona, and I'm excited to get down there.
We're excited to watch you down there as well.
Yeah, me and Steven were, you're the second person who's told us about the, Twitter might paint its whole story and not to take our, you know, just what somebody said on Twitter's word for it. We talked to another guy that said the same thing, like, I never even talked to these schools, they got me
Yeah,
saying,
I had
we can't come visit with them.
I had an instance a couple maybe like last week. There's like a tweet went out from some college basketball insider. I don't even know who it was, but some like pretty high. Yeah, they had a lot of followers and like a lot of attention to their page. Tweeted something that Ohio State didn't
Didn't
pay
pay their NIL.
some of their players, and then that was the reason that me and my camp decided to go to Arizona. Which I only have two people. I have an agent, like a representation. It's really just him and I. There's not a whole group of people. And he texted me that tweet because I'm not on Twitter really at all. So he texted me the link to the tweet and was like, "How do people even make this stuff up?" And so I'm just like, I don't know. But that was the one thing I actually had to tweet this year because that's like paints a bad picture about myself if it's not true. If it wasn't anything that serious, I wouldn't really say anything about it because there's a lot of people saying a lot of stuff. But that one just was so untrue for me that I had to do my yearly tweet on that.
We'll just tell them you went to Arizona for the weather.
It is hot down there. It's going to be a big change than Michigan for sure.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to ask you about because it is a big change going from Arizona, which I imagine it's an awesome experience for you getting recruited by these teams like Michigan and Michigan State and Ohio State, Arizona, Louisville, these big time schools. I mean, that's like top echelon, and
it's honestly wild. Like, because I was never recruited out of high school or anything. I went on a couple Division II visits and only had one offer for a Division II school. So now you got USC, UCLA, Arizona, like all these schools calling you. It didn't feel real when I was going through it.
That's awesome.
So this is sort of a two-part question. The first question is, you're currently going through the NBA draft process. You also, as we already talked about, beat Kentucky, who has multiple, lottery picks on their team. First of all, walk us through your draft process in terms of like, are you working out for teams? Are you interviewing with teams? Unfortunately, I know you didn't get an invite to the Combine or the G League Elite Camp. So what does your draft process look like this time around? And how does it feel knowing like, okay, well, my team at Oakland was able to beat, with the team that has multiple lottery picks, multiple NBA players on it. I know I could, hang around.
Yeah, so the first part with the draft process, yeah, I'm not going to either like the main combine or the G League combine, but my agent's group that he has, we may do a pro day or something at the combine. But I'm training right now just individually, and I'm going to work out with a couple teams before the month's over because I got to announce by May 29th if I'm coming back to school or not. That's like the last day that you can do any NBA stuff and still be NCAA eligible. I have a workout with the Bucks on Wednesday, and then I think I'll work out with the Nets the following week. But the big thing for me with this whole thing is just to get some feedback for next because most likely I'll be back in school again. Unless I hit it off with the team and I get to go live my ultimate dream a year early, but I fortunately have another year of school, so I can take the feedback I get, and when I have no more eligibility left, I'll what I need to work on, what to expect, fully from that side of things. But from like a competitor standpoint and a mental standpoint, like you said, I've played so many talented players throughout college, and I've succeeded for the 4 years that I've been in college. So it's really just at the end of the day, you're just playing basketball, kind of like LeBron said in one of his post game interviews a couple games ago. That's what it boils down to, and it's what I've been doing my whole life. So I'm just trying not to psych myself up too much because obviously the stakes are they're considerably higher, but at the end of the day, if I just do what I've been doing, my whole life, it's I got to live with the results of it.
Awesome. Well, good luck in your workouts. I hope you
you.
get, the feedback to become even a better player. And then assuming you go back to school, maybe we'll see you at the Portsmouth Invitational or even better next year.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's awesome. So You talked some about your goals last year, going into the season, things you wanted to accomplishing that and more. I know you just said like ultimately you want to play in the NBA. What are some of your other goals? Maybe like that, as far as like playing at Arizona, things you want to accomplish there, playing in a bigger conference, all that kind of stuff. In your game, like what kind of goals you set for yourself this year? Or who you not even got there yet?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. A big thing for me and honestly the school I was deciding to go to was a place that would allow me to kind of transition back to a 3-4, shoot a lot more threes than I did. I didn't get the opportunity to shoot too many. My last, I guess, 4 years at Oakland, it was just my role that I was in and just, excelled in that and just stuck to it. But I wanted to, expand my game to the perimeter a bit more because coming out of high school, I played the 2 and 3. Like that was my main position. I just got put at the 4 or 5 because that's what I had to do to play. So I was like, let's do it. But now, Coach Lloyd in Arizona, they run a great system to where I can expand that game. They had Keyshawn Johnson, who, made more threes this past year at Arizona than he did his 4 years at San Diego State. So that's an individual goal of mine. And obviously, at Oakland, the goal was just to make an NCAA tournament, but now I'm on a team capable and, guns for national championships every single year. And so being in that spot, in that situation, obviously that's the ultimate goal at this level of basketball, win your conference championship. Being in the Big 12 now is, it's arguably the best conference there is in college basketball, and it's going to be a beast game in and game out. But then you get to that tournament, you want to win a national championship. So that's obviously the ultimate goal. And I think I'm in a great, we got a great team in a great position to do that.
Yeah,
So
for sure, man.
John and I were talking when we were podcasting during, the NCAA tournaments. Basically, we were asking why the Big 12 is, the last few years, I'd say last 4 or 5 years or so, has been the best conference in the sport, just as you alluded to. But this past year at least, haven't really had as much success as they have. Obviously, Kansas won a couple years ago, Baylor won a couple years ago. But we alluded basically that to the fact that these teams are beating the crap out of each other all year long in conference play. And now, obviously, they're gaining Arizona and all those Pac-12 teams on top of all the teams they had already. So, I mean, what's that challenge going to be like going from Oakland in the Horizon League to every single game is going to be a dogfight for you this year?
I'm excited for it. If you look at my stats statistically, I had my best games against the higher major teams. And especially the physicality standpoint, like a key piece of my game is the physicality aspect of it. I'm not a huge finesse player. I don't have a lot of skill moves. I just kind of, rely on the strength that I have that I've built up from, my strength and conditioning coach. But, it's honestly gonna be such a cool experience playing in so loud arenas every single game. At Arizona, they're no matter who they're playing at home, their fans show up and are selling out their arena because down in Tucson, also a big part of how they got me to go there is, there's no professional sports teams in Tucson that you got to go up to, Phoenix for those teams. So Arizona basketball is like the NBA team down there. So their fans come out for that. And the atmosphere is crazy. Obviously, I haven't played in it yet. I've just seen videos and I've obviously watched them play on TV, but just to be a part of that every single game, I'm so excited to do.
Okay, awesome.
I imagine so. And it's like thinking about that in that Big 12, that's a tryout for an NBA team every night, playing against those big schools like that. Everybody's keyed in on that conference. There's a lot of NBA players come out of that conference every year. I'm excited. You talked about want to play more of the three. I think that's kind of what like we've seen you as, and I'm excited to see you get some space out there. There's some big guys going to be playing for Arizona next year. You've kind of been the big guy for Oakland, the past few years, and I think it's been a cool experience to kind of open your game up a little bit and let some of the offense come through. Get the ball in your hands a little bit more.
Yeah, it'll be not having to play the 5 really ever will be a difference for me, but I'm excited for it. I won't have to post up back to the basket every single time because I'll have, 7 foot plus guys down there, big guys. So it'll really help me not feel like I have to go play the post and truly expand my game with, not worrying that I have to be down there.
Absolutely.
So obviously we mentioned this earlier when we started recording. You won Horizon Player of the Year, and we just kind of talked about the goals you set out for yourself. I'm sure winning Horizon Player of the Year was one of them. So what does that mean for you in terms of, we talked last time about your dream was to play for the Oakland program and for Coach Campy. Not only did you win an NCAA tournament game and make the tournaments by winning the conference tournament, but you were, honored with that award of Horizon Player of the Year. So what exactly does that mean for you in terms of your legacy with Oakland basketball?
It like you said, it definitely was a goal of mine. And what I say every time someone asks about that is, like I said, this league was so competitive, and I wouldn't have won that award if our team wasn't as successful as we were. Because there's a lot of individually talented guys that were in the Horizon League last year, and 6 or 7 of them all went high major that or left. Went to a big school after this past year. So obviously I had a great individual year, but our team had so much success that it kind of catapulted me above because there's guys that average 3, 4 more points a game than me. Some guys average more rebounds, some guys average more assists, but just the position that I was in because of the success our team had, I was so grateful for. And, you know, anyway, it was just such a special year and I'm thankful for it. And I always wanted to, have my banner hung in the arena. That's kind of like the main kind of iconic thing that they have now is I think they only have 4 guys up there right now, and K Felder will be up there because he just graduated. You got to graduate to have that opportunity. So it's Raul Marshall, Scott Bittinger, then Keith Benson, and Kendrick Nunn and Travis Bader. So 5 guys are up there right now, and then K Felder. So I think the legendary season we had this year. Hopefully, someday I'll see myself up there. I think the biggest award that really caught me off guard, which had no idea or inkling that I'd even win it, was that Lou Henson Award. And the way that Can't Be Surprised with that was such a cool thing. I was doing a podcast with Jack, and one of our friends who's on the volleyball team is also like our ESPN broadcaster. She does a bunch of stuff in the media side of things. We are just doing a podcast with her show, and Campy came in. I thought they were pranking her, and they're actually like announcing, the award for me. And that was such a special thing because that was so far like not even in my head. I didn't even know that was still going on, but it was such a special year. And like I said, I don't think I would have won anything if we wouldn't have, won the amount of games we did and had the success we had. So there's a lot of guys that deserve credit for it.
That's cool, man. I love hearing about like your relationship that you've had with Campy, pretty much your whole life. Growing up around that program and playing for him the time that you have, and just little stories and stuff like that. And I was kind of want to ask you about Coach Lloyd going to Arizona. How involved was he in your recruiting process? How much have you talked with him? And what's it like? What's he talked to you about as far as your game and stuff, and what are you looking forward to as far as playing with him? And like, because I'm a big fan of Coach Lloyd. I think he's a smart coach.
Yeah, he's obviously he's such a iconic, legendary coach. He's only been at Arizona 3, 4 years, and they haven't been lower than a 2 seed in the tournament. And he was at Gonzaga for 22 years before that. So he's been around a lot of talent, and he's just wins. That's what he does. And the big thing, he was really heavily involved in recruiting. He didn't just send, some assistants out here. Him and the associate head coach came to my house that first day after the dead period. So once I saw that, a guy of his status who could, it's Arizona. He doesn't have to be flying places to go talk to you. It's like that in itself is, a pull. But for him to be in my kitchen in Oxford, Michigan was such a crazy thing to see him there. But and I just, like I said, the vision that him and the staff have for me, and like we said, he just wins. So it wasn't really too much mystery there on how well the team would do or anything like that. Like they always find a way to win, no matter who they have, and I just wanted to be a part of that.
Have you had the opportunity to speak with either Caleb Love or Jaden Bradley yet, or anybody else on the team?
Yeah. So on my visit, Jaden Bradley wasn't there. Actually, I'm sorry, he was there, but I I didn't really talk to Caleb Love that much. I just introduced myself. But I didn't really do like it wasn't the whole visit for me. It wasn't like I went out and like spent a lot of time, kind of like how you do out of high school. Because I've been in college for 4 years, so I knew kind of what I was getting into. I knew what I was looking for in a school and things like that. The biggest thing for me was really kind of the coaching staff and trying to gauge on if they really, had the same vision that I did for myself. But all the guys there that were there were like great guys, and it was a big thing for my parents because they all went out of their way to introduce themselves to my parents. Every single player that was in there, and that was a big thing for them because at some of the places I didn't see most of the guys, but everyone that was still on the roster there I met when I was down there because they had some workouts and an open gym going on, and they're all great dudes. So I'm excited to get down there and start playing.
Okay.
What are how are their facilities down there in Arizona compared to Oakland?
I mean that was a big thing with really both of the schools that I went to. It's obviously going to be a major step up compared to Oakland stuff. It's just like the sheer amount of resources that these places have. It's unreal. Like there's not anything you could think of that you would need. These places have it. They got the practice facilities with multiple courts in them. Just things like that. And obviously the arena in itself is a lot larger than Oakland's 4,000 seat arena. I think there's like 15,000. So, and they sell it out every game. So it's just, I was kind of in awe of all that. There was nothing bad I could say about anyone's facilities because, coming from Oakland, it's a big step up. So.
Okay. Again, I'm sure for you. I mean, we saw how much better you got through 4 years at Oakland, and now you have all those resources at your disposal. So we're excited for you, obviously, to see the growth you continue to grow. My last question is, your dad is a credentialed photographer now is that for Oakland basketball, or like was he credentialed?
Yeah, he just, like, shoots as a hobby, and then
Okay.
they'll get him credentials, like, the SID would, get him to be
Yeah.
able to be on the court for games and things like that. So he doesn't work for Oakland or anything, he's not paid, he just does it as a hobby so he can, be at the games, be on the court, and things like that. He just enjoys to do it.
So is he going to do that for Arizona now?
He'll definitely whenever he can get out there, they said they'd let him, get him a media pass, and a big thing about them is they have a football team, and he'll be able to shoot college football, Big 12 football. So, they're gonna hook him up with that. Obviously, they won't be able to make it to every single game because I won't be 25 minutes down the road from him, but they'll get out there as much as they can. My dad was actually at every single. He's only missed like one or two of my games, and it was because my younger sister had like volleyball or something that he had to take her to, but. He's been to pretty much every arena I played in myself, so I'm sure he'll make it to most of the games that he can this next year.
Okay, awesome. John, you have anything else?
No, I got nothing else, man. It's always a pleasure talking with you, Trey. We said before, you're one of our best interviews we've ever had. Great guy, great head on your shoulders, great basketball player. It's always a pleasure, and it really, it makes us feel good to see you doing all this stuff in your life, man. And
Appreciate
moving
it.
on with your game. I can't wait to see what this year holds.
Yeah, we'll do another one after this coming season or midway through or something. So give you inside the Big 12 with Arizona.
Hey, we
Absolutely.
might be your good luck charm, man.
Yeah, I know, no kidding.
Okay, well, Trey, we appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, I know this is a busy season for you, given getting feedback for the draft. Obviously, you just in the process of transferring. When do you move out to Arizona? When the
I
semester
think I'll
starts?
be out there. I don't have a specific date, but I'm pretty sure the first week of June is when I
Okay.
will pack up and head across the country. So
Okay. Well, again, we will be rooting for you. We appreciate you taking the time. Unfortunately, we couldn't do a full court press today because we already did one with you last episode when we did the rapid fire questions and answers.
gotcha.
Um, but yeah, we appreciate the time and good luck this season. I'm sure at the end of the season or midway through, whenever it may be, I'm sure we'll be talking to you again.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate you guys.
Yep, we appreciate you.